The session is Designing Great Experiences, and the speaker is none other than Kunal Shah, founder CRED. I have a short bio for him before me with respect to Freecharge acquired by Axis Bank, etc. But I'm taking the liberty to repeat that the only way I see Kunal is one of the most followed and loved entrepreneur in India and in fact globally, and we learn from him every day. Along with him, we have another speaker, Harish Sivaramakrishnan. He is the head of design at CRED and previously was head of mobile transformation for India region at Google. Over to you, Kunal and Harish. But before you go, I have to sing this. Download CRED, baby.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Hi, Kunal.
Hello.
It feels like a long time. Sitting in different places and trying to work this together. It's fun to chat on a medium like this. We are talking almost every day, but it's interesting to do something like this. Speaking about one of our favorite topics for so many years, we've been speaking about consumer experiences and design and the need for design, the lack of need of design, whether design makes a difference at all or whether design is this esoteric perceived object that does not have any tangible merit. We have spoken about so many things, and it's so much fun for me today to hang out with you on a Zoom link and continue talking about some of our favorite things, if you may. So, Kunal, I always wanted to probe you on this, right, in our conversations. Why is you've founded like two companies, and I have been fortunate to be part of both of them. Like at least I was at Freecharge early. I am right now at CRED early, and we've gotten a chance to work together early in the day to build stuff. But I always wanted to ask, like, why is design important for you? Like, it's pretty intriguing for me asking this question to a founder. Like, what role does design play in your thinking when you're actually building companies?
I think, first of all, design is probably the most misunderstood word. Design does not have one dimension to start with. It does not mean, as people call it, UI and UX, and all these labels are problematic labels, first of all, right? Anything that we experience and anything that can create joy in that experience, to me, is design, right? And if it does not create joy, that is also design. And if it creates anger, it is design. If it causes fear, it is design, right? So to me, design is nothing but an experience. And the reason it is important, because when we are building digital businesses, we do not have the chance to speak, personalize as much as we can in the offline world. For example, let's say I was a retail store guy, and I could see a customer who's getting anxious about buying a television. I could change my pitch, I can adjust things, and so on and so forth. But I really cannot do this in an online world, and therefore the experience has to feel elevated, right? And the brand and design are not some different concept. They all have to merge and be consistent.
Very true.
Imagine if the ads of the company are well designed, but the app looks like shit, right? And let's take a further example of that you have one font in your ad and a second font in your copy of your print ad, and then you have a separate thing. The way you write is different in your push notification, and the way you write in your ads is very different, and so on and so forth. They feel like different people, basically.
Yeah, being consistent is key, and it's often forgotten when multiple things are happening. Yeah.
The role of beauty is important, right? A lot of times we do not appreciate the role of beauty, because only when we go abroad and we see these beautiful looking things and buildings and complexes, and we are like, wow, so beautiful. I'll give you a small example. Classic middle class me managed to rent an apartment in some fancy suburbs building for a bit because my boss was giving me at half the rent for some magical reasons. And I remember the classic middle class me put some towel outside the balcony, like not classic middle class behavior, right? And I still remember the watchman came running saying that you are not allowed to put towels on this. You have to put it in the drying area over there. And to me, for the first time, I experienced what design and affluence means, because that building looked pristine from the outside only because nobody was allowed to put their towels and hang clothes over there. Now, the point is that design, right? And I think the importance of beauty is another example I'll give you. I was in the US and my friend suddenly woke up on Sunday afternoon and said, Kunal, oh, I have to 1 hour, I have to just like mow my grass. He got up from, we were having a beer and he walked up and said, then I need to do this thing. I was like, why? He's like, no, if I don't do it today by 6 p.m., I'll get fined by the society. And I'm like, why will you get fined by the society? Well, he's like, if you do not maintain your lawn, the society penalizes the villa owner because the property prices will depreciate if all the lawns are not well maintained.
Right.
To me, these are important factors to think about, because if you are creating the experience where people feel like coming, people feel like being inside that, and feel that their life has got elevated because of that, right? It's the right thing to do. And therefore, to me, people appreciate the thing like, oh, let's ship fast. Let's just put something. Let's just, the buttons are broken and things are not working properly. You cannot create trust. We were starting CRED, Harish, and we were expecting people to do 50,000 rupees transaction, 1 lakh rupee transaction on the first day. Imagine an app that did not look great and feel great. And the classic thing is, we always appreciate something beautiful to be like, "Arey foreign ka hoga kuch to," right? But why can't we be that company and put the standard to be that high? So to me, we underappreciate some of these things because we have not experienced better things in life, right? We are for the first time experiencing brands. We have been a value conscious society, and we are slowly moving towards appreciating the concept of beauty. And as we get there, more and more products and things will have to reach that level of stuff. Earlier, it was cool to be a crowded app. Now, not being crowded is cool because that's what is appreciated, right? And we all know when we see a global app, we see well designed and we're like so beautiful and so functional and so nice and it seems to be working. And in India, we somehow have a very different DNA and distinct way of doing that. But I think it's changing quickly. Like 10 years ago, what we used to think about design, Harish, to what it has come to, we have come a long way. And I think every year, a new standard is being set on every single thing that we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So just, yeah, if I were to just reflect on that, I think in design world, especially like being a designer for probably 20 years right now, one thing which I've come to see in design fraternity is some sort of a general fear that you should never optimize for beauty. Like I was speaking to someone the other day, like somebody kept telling me this example, like, why do you have to reinvent the wheel? Reinventing the wheel is a bad thing. But yeah, of course, like you don't fix what is not broken, but if you have a wheel, at least put a wheel cap. If you can't put alloys, like don't run it just because. See, for me, I think the functional argument has gotten stretched so far in design world that everything is function. Like it's sort of stupid to think that people would build things that are not functional. Like no sensible app or business or a retail store can survive and thrive if it is not functional. This over optimization on function has made us all pretty drab people.
Harish, we cannot blame the system. We have to understand that majority of people who worked in tech are just engineers, right? And for them, why does the store that is selling jewelry have huge doors and this beautiful lights and glass and all of that may not always make sense, right? Because they are like in this logical flow of I'm here to buy gold, this, that, flow chart, ABC, and all of that is done. And I think the core understanding of what creates trust, right? That will answer very different questions. What makes people feel that this is an aspirational place that I want to be at, right? How do you communicate that to functional products? And I think I'll give you another example to think about this, right? In the US, like all the banks which were launched initially, they used to have these huge doors, right? And they all learned that from the church, right? That church had huge doors. And if you have huge doors, people will feel small and will be very happy to deposit money with you because they look like a big guy, right? Like ye mera paisa leke kidhar bhag jayega, right? Now the point is that imagine a functional guy and came and said that there is no need for the human is only 6 feet. Why do we need 40 feet door? Useless.
And not only that, Kunal, I think the functional argument sometimes goes way too far. Nobody's denying. Even you are not denying the fact that the bank has to be functional. Like you went to put a deposit money in the bank, and if that guy is playing PC solitaire, it's not going to work. See, honestly, the guy sitting at the counter has to do what he's expected to do. But what's funny is that we actually are too analytical and too quantitative about functional. You know what I mean? The nuance of, and I have to say, there's a lot of us hide behind Steve Jobs for our own sloppiness. So there's this often quoted quote of Steve Jobs, which kind of triggers me, which is like, design is not how it looks, but how it works. Always remember the guy who said it actually spent tons of time fixing typography. So don't hide behind Steve Jobs' logic of actually wanting to get things working. Here's a guy who would actually write an entire website on the quality of aluminum he is using. He was all form. Like he built a functional product and he was all form. So anybody who thinks, oh, but Steve Jobs told that you should focus on function, is your own inadequacy to actually look beyond function to build something beautiful. So I feel passionately about building things that are beautiful. Beauty is not subjective. I think it's very perceptible. It's very measurable. You know what is ugly and what is beautiful. I would be very happy to find a guy. Sorry, Kunal, this is me sitting in Bangalore, but I haven't found a single guy that said the Mumbai local train system is beautiful. It is functional. That's because you don't have anything better. Like the day you turn that into a metro system, people will take the metro. So because of the presence of something that is efficient does not mean that is the be all end all for efficiency. So that points me to the other thing. How do you perceive efficiency in design versus is design all about solving a problem? Is design something like plumbing or fixing a tap or fixing a tube light? Like, because when you say fixing a problem, somehow the analogy is that there is something broken, so you need to call a technician to fix it. Is there something beyond that in design? I always wonder, is it like, because every resume I see, Kunal, these days, the question is problem solving abilities. Great, sure, you need to have problem solving, but is design really a problem solving job? I beg to differ. Problem solving is just one micro facet of designing. There's a whole world outside of just problem solving that makes an individual a designer. So I'm just very curious to know, how do you perceive this?
I think, Harish, the point is about does something inspire you to do more than what it is supposed to do, right? We all have seen that there can be a very simple bag of 10 rupees and there can be a luxury bag of 2 lakh rupees. And are they both storing stuff in it? Answer is yes, right? But the question is that what inspires you to do that? Now, does that mean that that bag cannot have zip because it is 2 lakh rupees bag? It has to have zip. It has to have storage.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
But it is not supposed to be like, oh, this super efficient, durable plastic thing, because that is not going to be what people want eventually, right? So there is no reason, for example, should BMW adopt electric vehicles and create a smarter dashboard to run their cars? The answer is yes. But would you still want a BMW logo on your car? Potentially, yes, because that is a signaling value to that.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. And
so I think people underestimate the efficiency argument to the point that efficiency has a permanent curse of losing gross margins. Every product that fundamentally becomes very efficient becomes utilitarian, and utilities fundamentally do not have gross margins.
And you know, Kunal, when you say that, there is this will be unpopular, but this is also an opportunity because you and I are talking. A common thing that I've learned as a young designer is like, no, make everything invisible. No memorable experience in the world is invisible. Like, making design invisible is such a misunderstood way to do design. Like, people should not feel the pain of doing something does not mean it should be invisible. You're not building the switch of your bedroom light. That muscle memory will play and you switch it on, switch it off.
That's a small nuance, right? I think any transaction that is fundamentally boring in nature, that you hate doing, I think we should figure out a way that humans spend least amount of time doing that, right? Because fundamentally they're boring transactions, right? It's like fueling your car. Like, I don't want to create a memorable experience. Just let me go through that, right? And get done. But let's say when it comes to claiming a reward or buying a car or booking a vacation, right? I want to spend time on it, right? I really want to enjoy that thing, because all my life I do stuff that are boring to be able to enjoy the stuff that is interesting, right? And therefore, I think India, after having such a huge spends on wedding, has created zero unicorns in the wedding market because everybody has solved for efficiency over there. Every wedding marketplace is like, we'll give you one Mendiwala in one click. I don't want a Mendiwala in one click. Right?
Yeah, actually, yeah, exactly. I want to browse for the guy. I want to make sure that I made the right choice. And even to that end, no, Kunal, I would just ask you this question. Even on tasks like fueling your car, like it's a little different in the West because they have built efficient self-fueling systems. So self-fueling systems are great because you just park your car, you take the nozzle, put the gas and move on. But in India, if you actually see, that's not the case. You have people fueling. I go to Shell not because I have empirical data that Shell gasoline is better. It is just a better experience. Like it is a mundane task. Like, if you can actually give Shell level efficiency with invisibleness, as they say, well, good, but you're not that invisible. The point is you're actually pretty sloppy, then might as well build a Shell which is largely about the bells and whistles. I somehow think like, we underestimate the power of bells and whistles. I as a designer, and funnily, Kunal, I'm an engineer. I'm not even trained in design. You know that. I'm a JavaScript programmer. Barely have any design cred in that sense. But I strongly believe that it is how a person perceives things that actually defines how he uses it. Like, taking away the perception actually does not build great products. This has been my learning. This has been my everyday experience.
Segue to kind of make a comment and ask you a question. CRED is filled with misfits, right? A philosophy major is running a tech company. An engineer is running design. We have a poet who's a CA who's running some parts of the product. We have all sorts of misfits doing lots of interesting things. But and we have a musician who's running our engineering as well, right? So the question on that front is, what is the role of performance art in building good products, in your view? And I have my point of views on that, and therefore I managed to get all these people together.
Sure.
But one point I will make, and you can answer your version of that, and talk about how it influenced you. How is your performance art influenced in the way you build products? To me, I have noticed that everybody who has a background in performance art naturally is designed to seek applause of the audience and not of their boss, right? And that automatically creates a very different culture, right? Most companies end up creating people who are trying to please the bosses, right? And who knows, like, if they know enough, right? I mean, they can be somebody who can kind of moderate some amount of stuff, but they don't know much than you do, especially in the tech businesses world, right? And I think anybody who solves for the audience's applause, right? Like, look at an ad campaign. Like, how much time you and I have spent on this ad campaign? Like, you give it to the people and say, get the applause of people. I don't care if Kunal is happy with the ad campaign or not, or Harish's ad campaign or not. And I think that's when the best work comes, right? But I'm curious to know your perspective on this lens and how it has like affected your work and the way you do things.
Totally. I think I have to start by agreeing with you. Like, almost every artist I know, including me, we are extremely inspired by being heard, being appreciated, being at a place where your work is being lauded for what it really means to. While and art also has this interesting argument, right? I mean, what is the purpose of art? Like, empirically defining the purpose of art is really, really hard because there is no real one way of defining as to why art is important and why people do what they do. And the sheer lack of it being empirical makes artists a very first time right people. You know what I mean? You don't see a lot of artists who will say, I'll do 20%, then I will evaluate it, I will get some feedback. Would A.R. Rahman give you like the first version of the song and ask you, ye gana kaisa lag raha hai? Will it become a hit? Nobody would do that. I would never give you my song and say, what do you think about it? I make a song, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So artists have a good mix of this extreme trust in what their instincts are. Combine that with good data centricity, good quantitative insights, and a good mix of people who can actually pad that up with some data. You can actually build great products. Sometimes what happens is we are just too dependent on data and customer insights. Many times you don't even know what the world wants. I mean, a lot of things that we use today, we did not need them. So for me, as an artist, one thing that I realized, Kunal, is like I don't work on needs. I always work on my wants. And the way I build products are also around wanting to build for my wants. Like, needs is a very utilitarian, very socialistic way of looking at solving a problem. While I think I have a very materialistic bent of mind, and hence being and Swami is a good example. Is a musician running engineering. Great to mix the analytical, empirical thinking mixed with high degree of empathy and intuition coming from the art. Kunal, there are a few questions pasted on the chat, a few directed at you and a few directed at me. I think we should
take them. We have less time, so we should go ahead.
We have about 8 minutes. We should quickly go through them. So the first one is to you. From
let me see. The conflict between any function function, the best design is one that's functional. And you use and minimize trade-off between design and function. First of all, it's like this is the same argument saying that what do you think about work-life balance, right? The Paras Chopra gave me the best answer for this question, saying that the only people who ask this question who have terrible work or terrible life. Only they are looking for work-life balance in life. Everything should be harmonious, right? If you have great work and great life, you will never think about work-life balance. It will just work in harmony, right? Same way, function and design are not two some separate things that you have to do trade-off against.
Yep.
Right? And a lot of times people expect, why is this not one click and single click? No, it is by design. It is by design sometimes made inefficient, right? For example, if you're doing a 50,000 rupees transaction, I can give it to in one click. You'll be like, oh, damn, this is so fast. Like, I don't know. I did not even put my pin. It feels like fraud to me, right? So you have to ask them 3 times. Do you want to? Okay, confirm. Yes, fine. Send them one push notification. Send them one WhatsApp that your money has been received. That's how you create trust, right? So the point is a lot of times that people think that these are some spectrum that you have to kind of adjust to. It is not. The question is that it's not or, it is and.
Yep. That's very important. I think form and function both are indispensable, and somehow, if you ask me, one shouldn't trail the other. They are together, and it has to work like that. So there's a question for me. Big fan of your music. Thank you so much, Nikhil. Appreciate it. How has music inspired you in your design journey? A little bit of that, I think I spoke in my earlier segue that Kunal spoke about. Being a performing musician, I try to bring the same ethos in the design that I'm creating. And I am also, for the sake of time, I will leave you with this. I come from the micro minority in design fraternity where I believe design is art. Most of the design world thinks design and art are two different things and should not be mixed. I come from the world that design is firmly art, and if you don't have a perspective of art, you will create mediocre or uninspiring stuff. So that comes from the fact that I'm a musician. There's one more. I guess it's for me. What are the risks of basing your design on design paradigms like neomorphism, which might run its course or period of time? Thank you for asking this question. So I have a view, and I definitely want Kunal to also chime in. I'll make a quick point and ask Kunal to chime in as well. See, for me, visual design. See, neomorphism is a visual design construct for the most. Like the buttons are still buttons, menus are still menus, and your boxes are still boxes. For me, neomorphism is like your spring-summer collection. Like you don't wear summer clothes all the year, you don't wear winter clothes all the year, and fashion keeps changing, and the innate purpose of wearing a shirt and pant does not. If you actually wore a piece of fabric and if it is expected to protect you from cold, it should protect you from cold. After it has protected you from cold, it could be made in any way. It could be bright colors, sober colors. It could be built using wool. It could be built using synthetic fabric. So design paradigms for me, or visual design paradigms, are like fashion. And I am extremely passionate about riding the trend. Honestly speaking, riding the trend is not a bad idea at all. And honestly, only utilitarian products keep the same UI for 15 years. And you're firmly saying that don't look at my design, just look at the problem. I am somebody who's building a product, which is please look at my design. So in that sense, I'll have to ride the trends. And neomorphism was a very viable, tangible, challenging design paradigm to adopt. And kudos to the engineering team at CRED. They pulled it off and it's working out really well. So Kunal, you should chime in.
I think the key aspect of standing out when you're trying to build for, let's say, the affluent customers is an extremely important thing, right? And if you do not stand out in a category that seems to be crowded, right? For example, we were the first app to become dark mode or black way before Instagram and WhatsApp decided to kind of become black, right? And there are still many Indian apps who are wondering if they should have a dark mode or not in life, right? And I think it'll take forever to do that. And that need to stand out is an extremely important aspect to work on. And neomorphism or other things that we do in the future will keep evolving. We have to stay on the edge of things, and yes, it becomes more and more expensive to change everything as we become bigger and we have more features and so on and so forth. But I think the company will always stay on the cusp of great design, and I think that's what people will appreciate, right? We underappreciate. Apple has constantly gone through some version of transformation on the way they do things, and it's although subtle, but it's constantly being changed and tweaked, and it has a character of its own to deal with. The next question over here is what is the importance of design in B2B product? Ruchita, it's a tricky one. If it's a B2B product that requires you to file expense management in your company to get reimbursements, the company is not going to optimize for your design. They will give you any shitty product and you will be figure out how to use it because you want to claim your reimbursement, right? But in the end, do humans like bad products? No, right? Humans like great products. They want to be able to use things with great ease and love to not face friction. The importance of design in B2B may not help you sell, but it will really help you stand out. And when you're compared between two products, design is a moat that you will create eventually because people will appreciate that. For example, TiE is a well-designed product, right? And therefore hard to take out. It's not visually stunning, but it's extremely good, well-designed, structured program that once you've learned how to use it, it's very hard to shift to another accounting software. So
yeah, in jest, I just wanted to say this, like just one line. Design will become important. Say, I'm an erstwhile B2B guy, but design will become important in B2B the day you are building for the guys who actually use your product and not for the CIO who's paying your bills. Till the point it has been optimized for the CIO, it is never, design is never going to be a moat. Because the guy who is paying the bill is different from the guy who is using it. That's the biggest difference between B2B and B2C. So if you are building software to impress the CIO, then it's going to be largely.
I'm going to answer the last question over here. Why so fancy splash screen on CRED? That's from Induben Parmar. Induben, that's exactly why we have it, that one day you will ask us about this question. That's exactly why it exists.
And why not?
Cool. Yeah. Perfect. This has been fun. I think we are on our time mark. We should not extend it, but any final remarks from you, Harish? Go for it.
No, I think this is fun. I think this gives us a chance to speak about probably the not often spoken about aspects of design, because most of the design forums that I become part of, it is more about research, more about processes, more about taking feedback from customers, more about placing the customer at the center of everything. Not denying all of that is important, but it's also sometimes important to look at some of the softer sides of design, which has now somehow become such a I mean, you even have people that hate you because you're doing good visual design. Like, it's funny. So, it's very easy. Like, it's almost like somebody has some good-looking object, then the natural reaction is, why is this needed? So, I think these conversations are important. That more and more people actually start telling themselves everything that you see is actually needed. It's only that it will take time to get there. I mean, do I need a house in Malabar Hill, Kunal? Yes, I do. But you have one, I don't have one. But do I need it? Yes. But do I need it? No. But do I want it? Yes.
Cool. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kunal and Harish. Thank you for highlighting the importance of being consistent in design and for bringing out the importance of beauty and the hard work in the background and effort it takes to maintain it. I really like the towel example of Kunal. And yes, I hope more and more Indian entrepreneurs learn from you and build well-designed app that is appreciated by all. And design no more remains a foreign feature. Thanks again, Kunal and Harish.